guess that's a pretty good sound check. Comfortable here. Stay. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. See anybody in yet? I'll just hang around for a few minutes before I start and start talking. I've had some concerns lately, and real life and in here. There's concerns about the young men lately, and I know that the regular concerns are hello, Cybermonk. The regular concerns for the young men are dating and Mgtow and the traps that go along with that. But there's bigger life concerns out there right now, and sometimes in Mgtow we have larger issues of healthcare and teaching and stuff like that, and mentor figuring and stuff, all those things. And there's a lot of problems out there. Dating be one of them. Getting involved in one of those traps, getting a woman pregnant, stuff like that. It's always, them things are the real Mgtow things that we expect men to make good decisions on. But you have to, go out into this world every day, and there's other things out there, and there's horrible things out there. I was looking at the misdemeanor system of justice nowadays, and the misdemeanor system of lawyers, and the misdemeanor system and a court system that is a Goliath system now. A simple hello, financial freedom. It's a Goliath system, and it could be a trap right now. And misdemeanors range from abuse to down to spitting on the sidewalk. You can get wrapped up in those things really easy. And I hear some of the boys and the young men talking about. I hear some of the young men talking about drug use sometimes, and I'm really concerned about that and drug use. I have an ongoing battle with a family member that uses drugs, and I got to watch horrible, horrible things during my life, and I've seen horrible things during my life with drug use. And the drug use in the misdemeanor system out there is an unpleasant system. It's a Goliath system. It's in America, it's almost made to trap you into that system. Once you get into that system, we can start talking about from child support to alimony they're all misdemeanor charges that can turn into felonies really quickly, from drug charges to marijuana use to buying random drugs and fentanyl off the street. And I really wanted to give warnings during this thing about fentanyl and about the heroin that's coming up through the borders and basically coming in from China now, and it's not very safe. I've just like I just said, I had to go to a family member, and he was in the hospital, and he lost both of his kidneys just because he did a shot of heroin. Bacteria inside of it, and there's bacterias, there's lots of other stuff they put inside that, and drug use. And sometimes I watch the young guys, and there was a guy talking about he's used fentanyl like 5 times. He thought 5 times was a minimal amount, and I have to tell you, that stuff will kill you. And even the drug use and the marijuana use, it all bothers me a little bit, because I've seen it in my life. I was involved with that kind of business in my life at one point, and I had to run from it because it was horrifying. And I was not on the side that you think. I wasn't a drug dealer. I worked with the DEA officers, and I worked with the Army, and I was a contractor for the Army on that stuff. So I got to see some of the horrors of a lot of this stuff, and I got to see a lot of really horrible things. But now I look around in my neighborhood, and we were going around, and we were trying to track this stuff, because that's my job. I'm a drug counselor all in all, and I care about the people in my community. And we were trying to track the houses. We were trying to think of every house that we knew of that drugs were coming through. And there was There was a lot of them. There was a really lot of them. And it was moving in. And I've seen this before in the late, when I moved in here in the late 90s and up to 2000s, I seen crack come through. And I used to sit on my porch and I just drink my coffee and just stare out into the abyss at that time because I wasn't healthy then myself either, so there's nothing I can do about it. And so I just stare out into the, the netherworld out there and just think about the things that I wanted to do in life and stuff like that. And then as you're staring out into your neighborhood, you notice the movement, you notice everything. And then I watched this house get raided, and I watched that house get raided, and then I watched that house get raided, and all those houses just fall to the city. They love it when they get a house. The city generates poverty. I've often talked about government generates poverty because the worst thing in America is you go into a courtroom, and we'll go back to the misdemeanor thing. You go into a courtroom, and some of these misdemeanors aren't misdemeanors. They carry large fines, jail sentences, stuff like that. And the biggest crime in America seems to be not having any money to pay for those things. If you walk in and you don't have $5,000 to flip off at a lawyer, and you don't have $5,000 to flip off for a fine, and slip some extra money along the way for someone to do some paperwork here or here or here, them things have a tendency to follow you in America. And like I said, the misdemeanor systems in America are getting very, very, they're getting very much like what used to be felony systems. Misdemeanor crimes can turn into a felony with a single not showing up for a court date. And with the drug use, that can become a death sentence immediately. And I notice around Mgtow, when we give advice, we rarely cover these subjects, and I don't expect a million kids to listen to me. No, but they don't want to listen. They want to experiment. Experimentation back in my time during the hippie era was different than experimentation. Now, we didn't have fentanyl, and there was no heroin, pink heroin coming in from China. It didn't have bacteria in it. And, heroin was heroin, and opium was opium, and marijuana was marijuana back then. There wasn't a whole lot until I can't remember, paraquat came around. Paraquat was the first thing they started spraying the marijuana fields, was to try to kill them. And then that would infect the people that tried to smoke it. But nowadays, drug use can be a death sentence for you in your first time. So I'm hoping that a lot of these boys around, we can get out. And I'm not thinking that a million people are going to watch me and take this message to heart. But as my regular followers and everything listen and everything, you can do it. Get out there, and when you see the young men talking about the drugs and talking about they'd like to experiment and stuff in Mgtow, and that's what this is about. Mgtow, this is about us being responsible, and part of Mgtow, most of Mgtow is we are responsible men. We can't say to the feminists, we can't say to the women that they should be responsible for their own lives unless we're responsible for our lives. But in this community, if we start slipping on certain things and we start allowing certain things, I think we're not doing our job diligently. Then our job is to make monks. Our job is to make better people. Our job is to get this message across, to keep people safe. And keeping men safe is the most important job in here. There would be no job at all if it wasn't about keeping the young men safe, and a place for the old guys to land where they could just breathe and say, man, it's been such a long trial. It's been a long trial after the divorce, and it's been 18 years of slavery. And I understand. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk. We're we're to share our experience, our strengths, our hopes, our dreams, all those things. But when I look around the manosphere and I look around the young boys, it's the same as when I was young. You wanted to sexually experiment. You wanted to experiment with a little acid. I think all men go through that. Maybe not, as much as back in the '60s or something, but it's so much more dangerous now. It's so much. I see it. I see it almost on a daily basis, and it breaks my heart. Um, um, a single, a single misdemeanor now can turn into a lifetime of pain. With the social justice and everything out there, and it, you get something like that on your record. I mean, even if you get if you're doing videos for Mgtow, and you can walk into a place, and I've experienced this already, where they dig through your social, and they, oh, it's Traversable Mgtow, he's such a shithole, we're not going to hire him. They can do that nowadays. Imagine if imagine if you have a misdemeanor on your they don't want to hire for theft, or you get into a situation, you get into an alcohol situation where you're drinking too much, or you get a couple DWIs, or the worst thing in the world would have a drug, any kind of drug misdemeanor on your record, and you go in, and that excludes you. And most of the young men don't know what being excluded feels like. If you're applying for a college, the littlest thing. We just went through this. We're going through this in America, where the rich kids, they can buy their ways into college. The rich kids can have people do their tests for them. They can manufacture personalities, sports personalities, and say they did it. But most of the men in Mgtow that I know aren't those rich kids. We're just regular, ordinary guys, and we can't manufacture those things. If you want to have sports star on your resume, you have to actually be a sports star. If you want to be a musician, if you want to have that, you have to actually learn how to do it. You can't pay someone $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 otherwise I would just pay for the college. It's all absurdity in this world, and the rich kids get away with that. And I experienced that. When I got out of the Army, I had I had choices, and I applied for colleges, and I was turned down because I only had a 4.0. It's like, what a dummy I was. And then I got the college that I got accepted to was the military academy in Boca Raton, and I just couldn't go. I just couldn't leave everything. And at that time, I was involved with a fresh marriage and those things, and I just couldn't go and do that. So it all became, I'd like to have gone to the college down over here, Oberlin College, where I'm driving distance from Oberlin, one of the best, one of the best colleges in the country, one of the Ivy League places, but I couldn't get in. I'm not, and I couldn't pay someone to do that. And a simple misdemeanor on my record, or a simple, I wasn't the sports star, I wasn't the musician, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. You don't get in then. And this is I can go on for hours about stuff like this. That simple little thing that turns your life upside down. And you get a DWI, or you can't be a truck driver if you wanted to be a truck driver. Those simple little misdemeanors in America, they carry large weight now. A simple theft, or it used to be commonplace. Not a commonplace, but oh man, hey, I'm just gonna steal some gumballs here or something. But that could follow you the rest of your life now. And in Mgtow, we should be giving that advice, and that's what we're here for. We're here to avoid risk. We're here to show you a better path. And every Mgtow can do that. DeBing and Mirawa and Cybermonk and Alone and Mo Capone and Pretentious Hermit and Shingles and wherever you're at, whatever country, whatever state, or if you're in Canada or Mexico or wherever, those boys that you're going to talk to. They're going to be considering some of this stuff, and that's your job as a Mgtow. Other than keeping men safe and sharing our experiences, strength, and hope, what are we doing here? We're not just talking about girls. Uh, you know, I could go to the local pub and talk about girls all night. That would be a useless night of blah 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 and chitter chatter, and then I'd have to find a Uber home at midnight. I don't think that would be. I don't think that would be a useful experience to do those things. But I do notice with some of the boys and young men around, it's a rough world out there. It really is, and I can't imagine as an older guy, I'm not running and funning anymore. I'm not playing those games. I don't do it just simply because I'm old. If I was young and healthy, then I'd have serious choices in those things. And you can get in trouble real fast nowadays. It's not like when I was young. We had a 1976 Pinto, and we'd put a keg in the back and figure out how to run the line up to the front seat so we can drink and drive, and nobody bothered us. Nowadays, them crimes, them small misdemeanors, you would think, oh, it's just a misdemeanor. I can get away with this. They carry large, you don't have $5,000 in your pocket. And like I said, the biggest crime in America is being poor. Walking into that courthouse, and I see this all the time. And I tell the young men, the biggest crime you're going to make today in that judge's eye is being poor, not enough to afford a lawyer, not enough to afford that $5,000 fine. That's your biggest crime. If you had all that, this would be a breeze. We could see that with the rich and the entitled, the way they think about divorce and the way they think about marriage. I could buy my way out of it. If I have 2-3 kids, if you had, $500-600 million, you can buy your way out of anything. You can buy your way into the best schools. You can buy your way out of any police stop. Just a little stack of money, which is insignificant to you. But like I said, for the poor people, and poor is being a crime. That's like a felony nowadays. The stiffer punishments, the stiffer crime, and I used to say when I was struggling, it doesn't matter if it's $35 or $1 million in debt. It all seems the same to me. It carries that same weight of stress, and it is our job to kind of talk to the young men out there when we see it, and we can empathize, and I feel it, and just give them a gentle nudge in the right direction. If you do that, then you can clear your soul from it clears your soul, and you don't have to feel bad if something bad happens. But if you don't do it and something bad happens to them, then you get that the biggest pains in my life is something when I should have did something, when I should have took an action, and I was hemming and hawing and making excuses, and I didn't take an action, and those things came back and bit me, and I was just, I should have did something. I should have did something. I don't know sometimes what to do. Maybe it's just a punch in the face to somebody, or maybe you've seen something evil happening and you didn't step in, and they come back to bite you. Them are the biggest pains I have in my life, and the biggest regrets I have in my life come from those sort of things. I should have shot that guy. I should have wasted that. I should have shot that guy because now he's shooting at me. Things like that. That's the way life works. You see it in the movies all the time. It's like, man, just you think you're watching a movie, you're going, that's the bad guy, just do his ass now, and then this whole movie could just end. Everybody saw hemming and hawing. There's a lesson in that, procrastination, and not saying the things you need to say, not doing the things you need to do, because those things would take strength and character. And some of us fall short sometimes on strength and character after a hard day's work. I just sometimes, you just get here and you just sit down and you're like, I got no strength and character left in me. you know, and we get them things thrown at us like men, that masculinity. We're supposed to be able to just pull that out, like, woof, I'm here. I got, here's the strength and character masculinity, and I'm on a dime. And that's not true. And women hold us accountable for that too. You can't just reach down in your pocket and pull that strength, that masculinity, that character, that resolve, that stoicism out on a moment's notice. On a moment's notice, because you were working hard all day, and you just, man, I don't care what that dude's doing. Just let him do it. And all of a sudden the dude's, shooting guns and running around naked on the street. And you think, oh man, there it goes again. One of those moments where I could have intervened, and it would have been easier sooner than to wait. And that's the lessons in life. Sometimes those horrible lessons in life come to visit you. And I mean, if you're like me, those things will visit you too. I'm like most of my life, I'm like I don't know. My ex-wife, she used to call me you're just a chaos magnet. Chaos finds you. I used to equate myself to one of the great authors. He just says he was, wherever he went, there was just something bizarre happening. And but I know you all feel like that sometimes. Wherever you go, some days you can feel it when you walk out of the house. You wake up and things start going bad, and you feel like something's out of time. And you've got mental horsepower. Thank you, Shingles. You can feel that when I wake up some mornings, I used to try to really. When I was really sick, I would try to get in touch with, mind, body, soul shit, and I would do this mental exercise in the morning to see if the world was running right that morning, because I didn't want to leave if the world wasn't running right, or else I would have to do something to make me get back in time. But some mornings, man, you get up and you spill your coffee into your shoe, and you can't find your keys, and then the car won't start right away, and it's cold, and crazy things seem to be happening wherever you're going, and that multiplies until you come to this crescendo of whatever is going to peak that day. And then you're like, oh, I knew that was coming. I knew it was coming, because from the morning, life seemed out of time, or if something wasn't in sync and everything. And you have those days, and that's the way it feels. I know that's the way it feels for me, and I know that it's got to be the way it feels for you when that shit just starts rolling bad. And we laugh, and we get to laugh at those events of our life after we work our way through them. And most of the time, I've done this before. I can sit back and rely on experience, and I've done this 100 times before. I know exactly what to do. I'm plowing on through. I'm going to plow on through, and that's the only thing I can do most of the time, is plow on through. And you make it home and collapse on your bed and thank God and hope that the next day is better. I know. But there's a lot of risk out there today. A lot of risk for the young men. And man, I feel so terrible for them sometimes. I see sometimes a punch in the head is required to capture the attention. Yes, it is. But even in that, prune juice, you gotta. When I was younger, a punch in the head, or a slap in the head was considered a good deed sometimes. That dude was acting all bizarre, so I remember a couple times my buddy was all drunk and he wanted to drive, and I just like, boom, I undercut him on his chin and put him on the couch and took his keys. And the next morning he was a little, he's like, "Did you punch me?" And I was like, "Yes, I did. I punched you because you're going to drive drunk." But you got to do those things because, well, think about the horror. Think about the horror if you don't do that. And your friend the next morning is wrapped around a telephone pole, and you're standing there knowing you're standing. We all go through these moments, standing there knowing in hindsight that if I would have just took the right action, my friend would be alive. And I've had those experiences, in life. You lose friends, and you're going to lose a lot of friends. You're going to lose all your friends eventually. Really, really, every single one of them are going to do something stupid or die. And and it's just a fact, man. I mean, like I talk about life, that's why I like absurdity so much, because life is negation. You live so you can die, but the young kids don't think they're going to die. And that's absurd. Man, our flesh is so weak sometimes. A piece of metal, slicing through you is will show you someday how weak and frail, and how just how weak and frail we are. And we look up at the awesomeness of the mountains and rocks, and man, you are not compared to that. We are just carbon creatures bound together by plasma and hydrogen. It's like it's almost hilarious that we just don't fall apart one day. It's just fall apart, just like a blob on the floor. And I think that's our eventual evolution, is just gravity's gonna end and our body's just gonna fall apart. All those hydrogen bonds are just gonna go. which would be kind of cool. But yeah, we are frail. And I mean, if you ever got a big old gash across your arm, yeah, that hurt. And you'll see how frail you are compared to a 2,000-ton press. But today's about risk. I think today's video is all about the things we should be teaching and the things we should be spotting, and each of the guys in here can do their job. Yeah, I seen your video. I was watching you, and your thing went off. So I said, "Oh well, he's gone now." We Smell Corruption is back. It's good that he's back in Mgtow. I think Mgtow is a positive place. It's a positive place for us men. The women hate it. I don't know why they hate it. We're not hurting anybody, and we give positive advice. Maybe it's that positive advice. I mean, a thief that comes in the night, if you would have told your buddy to, turn on his if you would have told your buddy to turn on his security alarm, and the thief comes, of course the thief does not want you to tell your buddy. He hates you. Don't tell him to turn on his security alarm. Man, that's my business you're fucking with. I think we fuck with women's business. We're telling the men to turn on their security alarm. And that's Mgtow. Men, turn on your security alarm, man. Yeah, them things are coming tonight, and then you lose everything. That's all we're saying. But they hate us for that because, well, then you're guarded. It's bad for gynocentric business if all men are guarded and they got their security alarms on. I know that's a great analogy, but and maybe it sucks as an analogy. I don't know. Some analogies I do, it might be a flyby for you. Really. But risk is, what we talk about. But we often talk about the V risk, that V, that thing. You all know what I'm talking about. I'm not allowed to say it. I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube. But that comes with great risk. But a lot of other things come with great risk too. I heard one of the young men saying that he likes to hop on trains. I was like, oh man, I have nightmares about that. Don't do that. Don't play with the trains. You're Drugs. I hear the young men talk about drugs. The young man 2, 3 days ago, and it's been on my mind. And I was like, dude, that fentanyl is so crazy nowadays. Uh, just a just a single needle head drop of that, and the rest of your life will suck. You're left. The rest of your entire life will be for kidney dialysis and maybe needing a new liver, or maybe having heart attacks. Uh, you have your heart attack at 28 years old and it rips your heart. Not good, not good. And most of the young men don't know how long the rest of your life is. It's a long time. Anybody that's been divorced, has kids, and paid child support for 18 years knows how long life can get, being a slave and all. And that's the advice we're supposed to give in here. But I don't see a lot of that advice, some of that fatherly advice. And they'll say, oh, fuck my father. I don't need that kind of advice. And I know that's where most of the men go with me. What do you think? You're my dad. My dad was an asshole. Hey, everybody thinks their dad was an asshole, except for me. I thought my dad was great. It was my mom that was crazy. But my dad was one of the best dads in the world. Jesus, I couldn't ask for better. Not that I took that advice, and he didn't talk a lot. He just liked to throw the ball in the front yard and do all those dad things that dads were supposed to do. I had that chance taken away from me by a divorce court and a judge that told me I wasn't a father. And I said, okay, I'm not a father, bye. But don't tell me I am a father when you need something. I had the benefit of having a father, and he was a father. He liked that word too. He liked that idea. And back then it was easy. Nowadays, it's not so easy for a man to be a father. You can get that right just taken from you in a second, and the judge will tell you exactly that. You're no longer the father. You're the payee. You're the pater. That's my new word for father. And you go, okay, I'll cross these things out that says I'm father, and I'll put in pater, Payter. That means payer terminal. That's what you become. And or Petter, but German for father, but it means legal father. I know, I do the research on this shit. I'm weird that way. I know two brothers. Yeah. Isn't it sad, Cybermonk? The heroin nowadays, if sometimes they think it's heroin, and it's not heroin. It's pink heroin, they call it, and that just means it's got bacteria in it, and that bacteria within a day it manifests. It's coming from China, or if it's coming, they don't care about you. They don't care about the boys. It was so easy for these boys to just one time. That's all it takes, and no one. I mean, it's like marriage too. Doing drugs is Russian roulette. It's like marriage. Everything's fine and dandy till that one time it's not fine and dandy. Then it's all over. And you're like, damn, it was fine and dandy, but it's not now. And it was that one moment. It's that one moment's decision with these boys, try a little heroin. And then all of a sudden your life for the rest of your life is screwed up with no kidneys. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you want in life, huh? No, nobody likes to see that. And people nowadays, we have political pundits out there that would throw you in a garbage can if you were just a guy that never had a working record, and they would throw you in a garbage can. They pray for your death. They call you awful things if you're disabled nowadays. We got to tell the boys, don't get that. Don't do that. You become disabled in this society, in this climate, where they want to take away the Social Security. You become the enemy. And right about now, I look around my neighborhood, and we were going through the houses today, and we're saying, "See, I know so and so lives there, and I know they're selling drugs, and I know there, and I know there, and I know that. I see it. When I drive my bike around, I have my neighborhood watch patch, and and I wear a police jacket. You see me wearing it, and and I look for these things, and I see people these just do it so blatantly out in front, and I'm just like, oh yeah, they're selling drugs. That's a great idea. Wow, I hope you're making enough money. You're killing they're killing our society, and I was having some cognitive dissonance this week. I don't even know if it was cognitive dissonance. I wasn't having cognitive dissonance. I was having some anger this week, some anger issues. Let's just say it's what it is. And I was talking to a person, and I was like, I was trying to ascertain some information so we can give the police the right information about who the drug dealers, and give them a heads up on getting rid of these people. And this woman, she was a woman, and she said to me, "No, those drug dealers are they're mean and they're vicious, and I can't give up the information because and in a way she was protecting the drug dealers from me and the police." And I was like, well, that's so selfish, it's so selfish. And she said, they're human too. And I was like, wow, no, they're not human. No, they're not human. They're killing your children. They don't care. They're killing your community members, and they don't care. They're not human. They lost their humanity. In my eye, they became an enemy of mine. As soon as they started doing that, that's what you know, I mean, maybe I have a hard time separating my life from old, uh, uh, you know, it was my job. It's like, no, we have to get this out of our neighborhood. And she was like, they're human too. And I hear this statement, and I was trying to detangle that in my head. I was trying to detangle that statement, and I was like, because it hurt me, because the anti-logic, it was the anti-absurdity. They're human too. They're killers, and they are dangerous, and that's why I'm here, because I could be dangerous too, and I could help. You know, but she was going to protect them, and protecting the drug dealer because they're human too. It just seems so absurd to me, but that's the absurdity we get served at us, and it hurt my head. And I was like, wow, I know they're human. I know it's to be a true statement. They are human too. I broke down the statement. Humans, the subject, predicate, they're human too. Yeah, it went over that in my head, and then, but it somehow didn't ring true to me. I was like, now here, logic, doesn't. It doesn't serve me in them kind of statements. Maybe it was just a shortened statement where drug dealers are human too, and then the subject, predicate, subject didn't quite match up, or the identification, the identifier drug dealer makes it worse. They makes it sort of ambiguous. And yeah, that's when I worked through it, and I was like, no, drug dealers. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about pushers, and I mean, identify those things. Use an identity. Hey, use correct English. Use correct English, bitch. Give an identifier in there. But I know I'm weird sometimes, but I was supposed to deal with that statement, and I get that so many times in life. During my life, I've heard that statement so many times, and I mean, those people will kill you. So what? So what? You think so? That's what you think. You're afraid. You're fearful. Fear is the root of all evil. People that are fearful are the root of all evil. I see the fearful people do so many. They act like fearful people. They run into shit. They run from shit. They knock people over. Movie theaters, when someone calls fire, they knock people over. They trample people. They're fearful. That's the rude way. You want to yell out, hey, calmly move to the exit. Please. That's logical people saying stuff like that. But I've noticed in life there's not a lot of logical people out there. There was this battery fire we had large batteries and packs we used to use for 24-volt motors and 36-volt motors. Some reason they had to be, DC, and one of them started on fire in this area, and the women were running around, and they were like, ah. And I simply walked up, being a calm person I am, I simply walked up and pulled the plug out and then sprayed it down. I said, it's out. And they were like, I wouldn't have thought of that, but people get fearful and they do stupid things in life, running around with like a chicken with their head cut off, just running into people. And, I've seen horrible, horrible things in my life from that. And I think that's why God says that too. If you have a Christian God, or you even read the Bible for some kind of spiritual guidance, sometimes I really don't believe in that stuff. But because it's not that I don't believe in a God or some kind of better thing or something out there. It's just that I don't believe in their God, because them people out there are fucking shitholes. I think they made it up because it benefits them. But there are some incidences. Thou shalt not fear, he says. Why did he say thou shalt not fear? It's a simple statement. He says because fearful people do asinine things. And that's what I think, they really should have said it like a Mgtow. Fear turns people into cowards, and cowards do cowardly shit. Yeah. That's in them. And I can't hold the whole world. And I've run into a lot of cowardly people in my life, and I can't hold them as worse people, because they just don't have it into them to be heroes. Not everybody's a hero. Me, I just don't care. I don't have that thing, that shut off thing. I don't have that. I'm a man. I don't, it's just not, I don't have them shut off valves. I just, I see a fire and I run towards it. I see a fight and I run towards it. I see something that's wrong and I run towards it. And I need to put it out, and I need to stomp it out, and I need to make it stop. I need to fix it. I guess that's why I'm such a good millwright, because because I need to fix things. I need to make it right. And fear, you can't have no fear in that stuff. Sometimes you're 100 feet above ground, hanging from a rope, fixing something. You're just not. Fear doesn't measure into my life. That's why I'm such a good soldier, or agent, or whatever you want to call me. But most men are that way. We need to fix things. We need to make things right, and that's what we do around here too. In Mgtow, we make things right. We try to express the risk involved with a lot of things, and articulate it and express it in a way that people understand it. And you hope that you can do your job around here without being beat up so much. Sometimes, ageism for me is they beat me with the hammer of ageism. And you're like, my dad, and I hate my dad. It's like, I know most of the young guys hate their dads, but it wasn't your dad's fault. Your mom was a whore. I mean, admit it. That's what I see probably 90% of the time. I know there's a few men out there that shouldn't really exist, because but most of the time it was by cause. What I say, most of these things happen by cause. And young men don't understand why they don't get to see their fathers, and there's no there's a mentor in their life, and there's nobody with that kind of mental capabilities to articulate right and wrong from them. And I think we have a responsibility here in Mgtow. We do it with healthcare, and we talk about healthcare. And I got some great information. I'm going to try it with the Mk2 and the K2 vitamins, how to better process my calciums. Uh, I forgot to take it today too. I have to take one. But but we talk about healthcare all the time. We talk about aging. We talk about getting old. We talk about just your general fitness, as a man, and that's good. We do that stuff, but do we talk about the other things? Do we talk about the important things? Some of the important things, them uncomfortable little subjects that nobody wants to talk about, and somebody says, "Well, there's a therapist over there. Go talk to him," But when a young man's struggling and living pillar to post, he ain't got no money for no therapist, and he probably ain't even got health care in this climate. If you're from a different country and you have health care and you're taking it for granted and you have socialized health care, thank God about that, because everything in America costs, and that's what I'm saying. The biggest crime in America is being poor. The judges will tell you that, and the lawyers will tell you that, and the police will tell you that, and every authority figure will tell you that in some subtle, gentle way. And if you don't believe it, they'll prove it to you, and that's when it gets hard. Then what's the advice we can give the young men? Stay away from the drugs. I say that all the time, and they go, Traversable, you're such a you're such an ass, No, just stay away from the drugs. It's the truth. And they don't want to hear it. They want to, if you want to put it in there, cover it up. Don't talk about it. Don't brag about it. Don't become braggadocious. That's a good. We say that for a good reason. You become braggadocious, then you become a target of another mating male that wants to knock you off. It's risked. That's why I say don't be braggadocious about those things. Don't talk about those things. The stoic male never talks about his conquests. Marcus Aurelius avoided probably a million fist fights because he didn't present himself as the alpha. I said, no, I don't talk about those things. If you don't present yourself as the alpha, you don't have to fight to hold on to the alpha position. Some guys have to fight their whole life, and I think it's sad. I have at least two buddies that are, they're the huge guys. The huge guys. They get 6'8". They got 24-inch arms, and all his life, all he wanted to do was not fight. But every time someone came around, he had to fight, and because he was huge. I feel sorry for him. I felt bad for him because he was a really nice guy, but he had to defend that, or somebody thought they had to defend him and shame him, and he had to. There was always that next cowboy that wanted to be in a gunfight with him. That's an analogy. Knock off the gunfighter. You'll be the best, the biggest. In every neighborhood, there's only one big dog. You know that. And you're young. There's only one big dog, and if two big dogs are in the neighborhood, they're going to fight eventually. They will. But it's sad when you don't want to be that in life. It's sad when you're stuck in that position, and that puts you in danger. It puts you at risk. That's what happens when you're braggadocious. It puts you in danger. It puts you at risk. Some little tard's going to come around, and he's going to be like, let's go. I'm a bigger man than you. I could do more women than you. They judge and measure themselves, and they dick measure, and they measure themselves on how many women they've courted. And most of us just want to keep that private and keep those memories good, and be gentle on your mind. But no, not in the male world of competition. You I once uttered out how many times I was did that in life, and I had to take a barrage of of immature little toad boys coming around, hundreds of thousands of them coming around Yeah, it's not possible. Because they had to measure up, because they had to compete, because they had to know that somebody wasn't better than them. The biggest crime on YouTube is to be better. Everybody's so mediocre. Mediocre. You look at PewDiePie. He's so mediocre it almost makes me sick. He's like the perfect effigy of mediocre. And it's like everybody likes him because he's mediocre and he doesn't offend their manliness. Oh man. It's a funny, absurd world we live in. It's a funny, absurd world we live in when you strive for mediocrity so you can be left alone or you can be successful. Jesus. Yeah. Hello, Mike. Hello, Prune Juice. Hello, Cyber. Hello, everybody that's listening to my rant. I didn't have a topic picked. I just randomly picked that from you start writing it, and then all the other ones come up on the bottom, and I just said, oh, well, that's a good one. I clicked on it and removed the last word. I cheated because I was so lazy. And I am lazy lately. I just don't want to continue doing this anymore. But that's the thing today. There is a responsibility in this, a slight responsibility that Mgtows have to take, um, and we all have that responsibility. When you see something, you see a young man putting themselves at risk, and I tried to go over the misdemeanor risks of the world. Whether you're racing cars, or jumping from trains, or doing drugs, or hitchhiking around the country, you're not taking care of the things you should be taking care of, and you're putting yourself at risk, whether you're doing the girls or climbing buildings and rock climbing and stuff like that. Consider the risk, and it's our duty as Mgtows to say, one little fall, one little fall. That's all it's going to take, and you're going to be disabled for the rest of your life. And the rest of your life is a long, long freaking time. Every man that's been divorced knows the rest of his life will become a long barrage of get up in the morning, get on the trolley, go to work, eat your lunch alone, finish up your day, come home, cook some macaroni and cheese, and go to bed. That's what I was talking about the other day. Sisyphus rolling that boulder up the hill. Stops with one hand while he makes his macaroni and cheese delight. The delight stuff is really pretty good. And if you get the Stouffer's brand, it's a lot better. But I know, but stop for a minute and you get a momentary break and then start rolling that fucking boulder again. And it's sad because that's what men, that's the utility of men. I think the story in itself describes the utility of men in perfect detail. You don't want to be that way. How he got there, what happened. What do you think happened? There was a woman. Yeah, there's always a woman. There's always a woman. Every story out there. There's always a I don't know what you call the woman. There's always the female antagonist. That's what they would call it in the films. Every movie ever made, every story ever made about pain and discontentment and in horror, there was always a female antagonist. That's the risk we talk about in Mgtow. It's nothing new. That risk has always been there. We just ignored it as men for a million years, 2 million years. You can imagine the cavemen ignoring that fact. He's walking through the woods with his club, and he's like, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to hit that. Ignoring that risk. Right after I get done running from this saber-toothed tiger, well, that's what we do as men sometimes. We ignore the risk. But that's what Mgtow's about, the big hammer of logic. The big call out to the absurdity and the chaos. The hammer of Mgtow logic sometimes doesn't feel very good, and it most certainly is not going to get you that split V, and it's most certainly not going to put you in exciting situations. You know, but ignore it, and you'll get to do exciting situations living in your car and seeing new and fresh street corners. You know? Homelessness. Yeah. Homelessness is serious nowadays. I learned a fact the other day, $25 billion. That's all it would cost to cure homelessness for all. And every man out there, every guy that's freezing to death right now. Did you see that? My God, did you see that storm that came through yesterday? Did you guys take a look at any of those pictures? Hey, Prune, did you look at those pictures of that vortex that came through this? And we had two of them this year, and that cyclone, bomb cyclone they call it. Did you look at that thing from a distance in a picture? That looked so unnatural. It looked like something creepy out of a space movie. I'd never seen anything. I got a picture of it. I could put it up, and I'll do that. Let me do that for you guys. I'll go get that. I'll go get that picture so you two can experience the horror of that. I got it right here. Let me go back. Boop, bop, click. Yep. Screen share. Bing, bing, bing. There's Infinity screen. Let me go to that picture. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that thing. Let me increase the size of that for you. That's 150, 200. There it is. Look at that freaking thing. Look at that. Have you ever seen anything like that in your life? In your life? I've never seen anything like that. And they say there's no global warming. Oh, it's over a cornfield. I think that's a cornfield. I'm not sure where that is. I mean, look at that thing. We've had winds here, and I showed the pictures. I wanted me to show the pictures of my shed. My shed got flipped over, and we've had 70-mile-an-hour winds here, and usually that's like every 5-6 years. But we've had gusts, and it's a weird thing that's been happening, and they're gusts. So we have a 30-mile-an-hour wind coming through, and all of a sudden it's 70, and it destroyed my backyard twice. But look at that. That's not natural. That's not natural. I don't care what anybody says about that. That's not natural. Let me go here. Put the next one up. There is snow in the desert. A couple palm trees. There's these things, these cacti. Nice little cacti. I'd like to make myself a dinner out of these ones right here. Right there. And but yeah, that's snow. That's 4 inches of snow in the desert. Yeah. Son of a bitch, huh? Yeah, I was looking at those pictures, and man, they're horrifying. Let me get back to this and turn this off, stop sharing, and back to my pretty face. Because that's why you really come here, so you can just enjoy, suck it in. Suck it in. I'm so pretty, it's fucking amazing sometimes. Hello, Derek. I like to joke about that. I know I'm old and pretty grumpy and got a rough bark. I just like to imagine myself pretty. Because life would be so easy then. Life would life would be easy if I was a woman. I would know exactly what to do with that. Man, I'll be No problem figuring out how to make money with that thing. That thing's a money maker. I swear. Hello, Marco Polo. Hello, Steve Hoka. We were talking about risk. We were talking about the things we should share today in Mgtow. The things as a well-seasoned male around this place, we have an obligation to, and especially when it comes to shenanigans and misdemeanors and when they put themselves at risk outside of female situations, like drugs, alcohol, risky behavior. We hate to see the young men get injured or hurt before they have the opportunity to practice their Mgtow and be 10 times better off than me by the time they're 30. Because that's what I really want to see. That's what I really want. That would turn me on so much to see these guys 10 times better off than me by the time they're 30. And then they can come back and say, ha ha, Traversable, you're such a bum. And I say, yep. Glad you did good. Glad you took the Mgtow, and it turns me on when they come back and say that, it's like, good, you learned something, thank you. Don't bother saying you're don't bother saying you're grateful for that. But yeah, we try to share with the young men. But I see some of the young men over a bunch of podcasts just talking about risky behavior like it was flippant, like it was funny, like it was, one of the guys said he was taking fentanyl. I was like, that's not funny. It pains me. It'll pain me if you die. And all it takes is one hit of bad drugs. Like I said, there's stuff out there that's terrible. Put that in your body? Jesus. It's like just shooting like glycoethanol straight from your motor engine right into your veins. That'll do something wonderful for your kidneys. But better us. And I asked, why didn't they learn it in school? Yeah, they did, I suppose. Most of the teachers are like, drugs are bad. But they do it so damn weird, don't they? Drugs are bad. Like the South Park guy, Mr. Garrett. And oh man, he's such a turd. He's such a turd that they think he's such a turd that drugs can't possibly be bad. No, they're bad. Getting involved with the state in any way whatsoever is a bad thing. They want to chase you. They want your money, and they want to keep that money flow coming. That's what they do. Misdemeanors can turn into felonies, and they want to keep you inside the state system. And that's what they want. We got an industrial complex of prisons in the United States. Most people locked up in the whole world. And we're proud of it. And all we're saying is we're so freaking greedy that we've made misdemeanors into felonies. And any little social violation will be dealt with force and fiercely. And most of the time, it's just that the real crime is that you're poor. You can't afford to buy your way out of it. Because that's the real crime in America. Poverty. Poverty is the real crime. And both parties are blaming each other for that. They're just a bunch of retards. They are. I listen to that shit sometimes. They're retards. I'll slap that tag on both the political parties. They're both retards. Human ant farm? Yes, you can say human ant farm. They're just a human ant farm. There's a master hand. They're just whipping them like. I love that. I love that. I love that video. You can watch a video on YouTube of the ants, the red ants, when they start moving, and then they get to a water, some stream or something, and then all the human, all the sheeple ants, they just try to they just walk into that water and sacrifice themselves, and then there's ants all on the top of those sacrificed bodies, and then they float across. It's like, man, life is cheap in that society. I just love that video. What does that say? Ant farms. I had an ant farm. You know what I did? I did the stupidest thing in the world when I was an 8-year-old child. We were traveling on through Georgia, and I wanted some red dirt for my ant farm. So there was a big mound of red dirt. And I went and scooped it up, and I got in the car, and before I know it, there was ants all over the car, and I'd scooped up a big mound of and I didn't tell my dad. I got back in the station wagon, and I was like, I got my red dirt. I was like, it's gonna be so cool in my ant farm. And yeah, they started crawling out of there, and we had to find a top for it and a lid, and I got yelled at. That was a that was a good life experience there. Because I was like, it was Joe, you jackass. Yeah. Childhood memories. Ant farms are cool. I should get one. I don't know how Dougie would feel about it. Dougie has feelings about everything nowadays. He's getting really old, and I got to tell you, I think he's getting ready to pass. And it's sad. My best friend. I wrote a song for him the other day. I did. I wrote a song. I was gonna do it on the ukulele. It's Dougie, my best friend. Dougie the Wolf. Yeah. I know he loves me. I gave him a bath the other day. He was pissed. He smelled like snot and old testicles. I was like, dude, you need a bath. And he was mad at me. Yeah, I snatched him up, showed my dominance. I think that's what made him really mad, because I showed my dominance. He doesn't like it when I show my dominance. He's like, we're equal. And I'm like, yeah, to the better part, but don't push it. Oh, that's what girls do too. We're equal. And I'm thinking, yeah, to the better part, but don't push it. They're like Dougie. It's like, because if it came to push to shove, I'm sure that I'm sure it wouldn't work out well. But they're making laws for them too now. So, laws equalize that. That's what men used to just snicker about it. Yeah, we're equal. Yeah, don't push it. That's what we used to say, but we're not allowed to say that anymore, because they got laws that, oh, Dougie's. Hey, Doug, you want to say hello to everybody? There you go. I know. Yeah, now we got laws to make us equal. They're going to force equality on us. And I still think it's funny. It's like, yeah, to the better part, but don't push it. Go. I put some food out there for you. It's the chunky stuff you like. Go eat. He still smells like old dog. He was out in the rain today. I threw him out in the rain because it was raining most of it. It was beautiful in the morning. It went up to 70 degrees here, and then I looked at Perth, Australia, and it was 70 degrees there today. And I was like, hey, we're twins, but it's supposed to be cold here. But it was cool. It was cool. I opened up all the windows and got the dog smell out, because my house usually smells like open beers, testosterone, testicles, and dog. That's That's like a female go away scent. It's yeah. Smells like testosterone and beer cans and pizza boxes. Yeah, that's you could bottle that and like female go away spray. Hello, Father. No. How are you today? Hello, Marco. Hello, Prune Juice. Hello, everybody that came around. I'm just rambling on and talking about risk. Risk. Our job here at Mgtow. What is our job? There doesn't seem to be any character anymore that we do. We take it as a job, and within the men around here, there's a certain job we do. We used to get all excited, like we're saving lives. I don't believe that anymore, but I do believe and you share your your strength and your hopes and your knowledge and what wisdom you have. And there are some pretty stupid guys around here too. Don't take don't ever take a wood nickel. That's what my father would say. Don't talk to that guy. Oh, you can get his bad advice there. Uh, yeah, yeah. I never really understood that wooden nickel. Who the hell would make a wooden nickel? And my father would tell me that's why you're Joe, because you would say that. he called me he calls me a lot of names. He used to call me before he died, but he used to call me a lot of names. But he said you're just an indignant fucking person. Yeah, it's just me. But I guess there's lessons in all those little aphorisms and idioms, whatever you want to call them. Some people overuse them terribly too. That's all. That's the wisdom of their life is idioms. I notice that with men sometimes too. They overuse the idioms because they're easy and you don't have to talk. You just flip it out. Stand in front of the my favorite one is stand in front of the barber shop and you'll get your haircut eventually. See, I don't go to the barber shop. um, yeah, the barber's pissed at me. I walk by there daily too. I walk by the barber shop and then sometimes I'll just pull my hair out and I'll stand in a window and go like this. He looks at me like, oh, it's a hippie. Some kind of bear out there. I don't want to piss it off. It needs to go away. It's just the little fun. It's the little things in life that you can enjoy too. You grow your hair long, like me. And you just grow your beard and just go stand in front of the barber shop and use their glass as a mirror. You go like this. Oh man, shaving sucks, doesn't it? In the Gillette commercial, that just showed how bad shaving is. And I always say, like, fur is like the secondary sex characteristic for any male. You grow up, you get your balls drop, you get fur. It's like women get breasts. It's like, would you ask them to cut their breasts off? They ask us to cut our fur off. It's like, that's crazy. It's a secondary sexual characteristic of a man to have fur. That just tells you how emaciated men are these days, emotionally beaten down. They won't even grow their beards for fear of being called something. A neck beard, that's what they call us, neck beards. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I prefer to call them, air suckers. They just suck in the same air as me, mouth breathers. But I don't, and I refrain from doing that. Uh, but yeah, the beard is the secondary sexual characteristic of man, and they make us cut it off. Why do they make us cut it off? Gillette. Why? Because they don't want men to be men. That's what we've been saying. They do in the subtlest of ways. I don't want my face to be as smooth as a baby's ass. It doesn't, that's just not me. It's risky to shave too. That's what we should say. It's just risky to shave. You can cut yourself, get an infection. Bacteria nowadays is so screwed up. You get one of those fat meningitis on your face or something, and don't shave, man. You get an infection. That's what we should start saying. Yeah, it's too risky. Can't do it no more. What do they call that? Fasciosis or something? I can't remember the name of the bacteria. Flesh-eating bacteria. Don't use Gillette razors because you'll get flesh-eating bacteria on your face. That should be our logo. Mgtow commercials. Mgtow commercials would be really cool, wouldn't they? I'd love to see Mgtow commercials. Because they get really, the whole world will go, that's bizarre. Don't shave because you get flesh-eating bacteria on your face. It's true. Go to the Justin Bieber chat. Tech 56. I don't know what you're talking about there. It's your head. Stop being dick. Asking stupid questions. Who's arguing? Let me see. Okay, I'm getting the gist of it. Men could be enslaved by a woman. Yeah, it don't take much nowadays. They've got their thugs in the courts, and they'll throw you into enslavement for the time it takes for you to figure out how to be a mother when to those children. At least a paytor, the payee terminal, and that's what they really want from us. Did you ever look up the definition, the very definition of slavery? It's like when one person works for another and doesn't get paid. But that's okay for men. That's okay because we just forego those constitutional rights, and they'll tell you right in the if you read like if you subread the states on the legal information on that, one of the last sentences will always be slavery. This is not slavery because we say so, and we're going to forego that constitutional right for men. That's what they'll tell you. And I was like, glad you're conscious of that. It makes it easier trying to explain to why I don't want to be a slave. Because at least they know. It's like, I know. They're hemming and hawing about it. Like, I know you don't want to do it, but you got to. Because my boss said you had to. It's like that's the Eichmann effect. My boss told me to do it. And everybody's got a boss except for the president. Except for Trump. He doesn't think he's got a boss. But that's Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's his boss. He don't like that at all. I know that's horrible. Yeah. They all use that line. Hey, I was just doing what I told. Every judge, he was just, I know it's constitutionally immoral. It violates 5 of our constitutional amendments, but man, I was just doing what I was told. It was the Eichmann defense. And that's the root of all evil, and we know that. It's not tragedy. So what must it be? Well, it will be a tragedy for you if you go down that road and get hooked up with some sweet little V and end up having some babies. That could be a tragedy. That will be a tragedy. And we'll go, I know I told you so, but I won't rub it in real hard. That's Mgtow now. I won't rub it in real hard, but I'll let you know once in a while that you didn't listen. A lot of Mgtow has that attitude now when we see the PUAs coming around, and they're all like woo, the enthusiastic salesman for a P for the V. It's like woo, and we go, no, that's not a good idea, buddy. And they're all enthusiastic about it, and couple years later, they all come back around spouting the benefits of long-term relationships. And what they're really saying is, man, I'm so stuck and I can't date now because she says so. It's so silly, too. It's so silly. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. But we know there's stupid men out there, and we say it. We have words for it: simps, white knights, beggars, cackling hyenas, pea beggars. We got words for all those guys, and they are stupid. They just won't listen. Eventually, if you live long enough, and Mgtow, it's great too. I was when Mgtow came around, I was in my 40s. So it was like, I don't get to see like 3 or 4 generations. I get to see maybe 1 or 2 before I prefer to die. And I don't get, the young guys, if they just start writing names down now, this guy came around and take little recordings. And then so sooner or later, they'll be able to say to that guy, told you so. And that's the best thing in the whole world. When you get to do the told you so dance, it's like, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. That's yeah, but yeah. So the young guys will be able to say that. The young Mgtows too. They're going to grow up someday, and all those PUAs that were telling them, yeah, the enthusiastic salesman for the split V. Every feminist has got one of those too. They're the enthusiastic salesman trying to sell you the same horror that he's going to get. I think that's horrible. They're telling you lies. And that's the same lies that I got told when I was younger. Go do that. That's a good idea. Go get married in that Christian church over there, because he's got your best interest. He's thinking about you. After I got divorced, I went back to the church for a short, brief intermission in my life. It was a long intermission, but I went back and I was like, I'm divorced now. You didn't tell me this was going to happen. It's like, is there something special I have to do for God now? And he says, I have no answers, son. I knew it. And he's like, yeah, I lied. I says, you got me good. You got me good. Yeah, good one. Yeah, he didn't have the answers after that. It's like, got no answers for that one, son. You can go to a Protestant church now. Go to one of those Baptist churches. I like the Baptist churches back then. I used to hang around the Baptist churches on Sunday when my head was all fucked up and I was skinny and dying, and I was all sick and shit and sickly. And I used to go to the Baptist churches because they were all singing and they were happy. And they had those bands. You ever go to one of those churches? They got the bands. They got that rock and roll band. It's like, woo! It's like, that was pretty exciting. And it's like, yeah, good show. I got sick of that after a while. I went agnostic. And that's my thing in life now. It's not that I don't believe in some greater thing. I like to believe in some greater thing. I just don't believe in humans. Anything they say, it's a lie. Humans are seriously flawed. I figured that one out. When I figured that out, it's my brother got out of prison. He got out of prison. He got his degree in theology. while he was in prison, and he became a minister. And then my other brother, that was a scamster, he's like, good money in ministry. And they took that one right. Woo, they were good at that. They started a church and told the people what they wanted to hear. And then I was looking and observing like I do, thinking, Jesus, it's not that I don't believe in God now. It's just that I don't believe in people. Because it would be nice if there was some grand white-haired entity out there, has a beard down to his, like, you'd be like, cool, you got the big beard. You'd be like, and you care about me. Because he may be the only person in the world. But that's not true. I know, world's absurdity, it's chaos and absurdity, and you live to die, and that's it. Try to have some fun in between. That's what I say. Try to have some fun in between. And my new motto is now, just imagine yourself happy. Just try it. And just imagine yourself happy. It'll kick in. That was Invictus, by the way. He was standing at those cell bars and he was holding on, and he was doing Invictus, and what he was really doing in his mind, he was imagining himself happy. It's easy to do. That's what the slaves back in the 1800s said. You work me to death, take my body, but I'm just going to imagine myself happy and free. If that's all I got, that's all you got as a man, too, sometimes. In this world of absurdity, you just imagine yourself happy. Just smile. Give him the creepy smile. The clenched teeth smile, where all that pain is like all inside, and you're like, hi. Just tuck it. Tuck that pain. The clenched teeth smile. Hi. That's what the clenched teeth smile is. It's like, I got to go through one more day of this. Just imagine yourself happy, and then you get a real smile. You can like, hey, ladies. You should see me. I'm such an ass in the store too. I like just walk in. I'm like, hey, ladies, what's up? And then I walk out as fast as I can. My buddy freaks out when I do it too. Just imagine yourself happy. Hillary Clinton was a good role model. Yeah. I guess, no, I guess, she was rich. She was born rich. Clinton. She wasn't Clinton. I can't remember. She was a pretty awful person too. I remember hearing that speech. Like she was like, I walked into New York at this guy's house, and it was like a bombed out shelter, she said, and the cars were like on fire. And it's like, yeah, that's the real world back there that most of us live in. We don't live on farms out in the country with big houses. It's nice, isn't it? You share that with me someday. I used to have a buddy. He had a girlfriend, and I had to drive her home one day, and we drove out to one of the better neighborhoods where I wasn't allowed in, and they let me in because I was with her. The gates opened, and they let me in. I was fascinated. I was like, son of a bitch, look at this. Never knew this was here. She goes, yeah. He said her dad owned the Macy's building downtown in Cleveland. He was some big executive for Macy's, and I walked into this house, and it was like the Beverly Hillbillies house. It was just like the Beverly, but it had a tree. It had a tree in the middle of the atrium in the house, and then there was 2 steps that went up around the tree, and then water went off into the bedrooms. And I was like, dog. For one moment, I got a glimpse of what it was like. I was so impressed. I was so young too. I was like, and then the maid come, and she was like, "Can I get you anything?" I said, "Some water would be cool." She says, "Can't have anything alcoholic." I was like, "That would be cooler, but water will be fine." And then she brought it. And then the butler came and I dragged in a little dirt. Made sure the dirt was cleaned behind me because that was a cool experience. I'd never seen that before. I was a poor kid from a poor neighborhood, poor Irish kid that, just moved here to America, the land of the free and the brave and the rich. I never seen that before. That was cool. I don't know what happened to her. She was quite a whore too. She was. Oof, she was. She would get around. She tried to sneak into my bedroom one night. I'm like, no, I don't need none of that. Oh, we're getting a lot of comments held for review. You guys just omit the swear words. Just omit the swear words and use a as zz and omit the swear words, and they'll let you. Or fug. You can say fug fug. Hello, Magnus Online. How are you today? I was just talking about risk, and I was talking about this rich girl I knew. Her daddy, he owed one of these things right there. We went down there one day too. They let us in. They did. They let us in. I was like, that's a mistake. I'm so gonna steal something. And I did. I'm so gonna steal something. Oh. Fug as, yes. You can use that one. Otherwise I have to do because they won't let me. They force it on me now, and I have to let them moderate. If I don't have a moderate, I have to let YouTube do it, or else they're not gonna give me any benefits of sharing the video. They said, and they were really persistent about it. They were super persistent about it. Like, you don't understand, and I didn't understand, and I was like, no, I don't understand. I was just being a dick, and so finally I acquiesced and I accepted their terms. It was probably a good thing. Sometimes you just gotta acquiesce and accept their terms, and that's what all they want from me out of Mgtow is just to acquiesce and accept their terms. And Mgtow's never acquiesce, and we never forgive, and we never forget. As we used to say that. I don't know if that's true anymore. Mgtow's are pretty forgiving. We don't have the rage that we used to have. Yeah. Yeah, they would have took me down already if I wouldn't acquiesce to their terms. And I rarely swear too. That's what I couldn't understand. With the last time they took me down, I was like, man, I never swear. I'm actually pretty like fatherly about those things, and I rarely swear. And they took me down anyways for the content of my speech, because they didn't agree with me about what I was saying. It was the parasitical video about bacteria. It was. I was explaining the impact of bacteria on the male body, and they didn't like that. They said I was lying. I says, but I had all the things in there. I used to put all the things in, and the accreditations, and I had all the accreditations in there, and all you got to do is go read it. They said, no, we'd rather not read it. We'll just take you down. It would be easier that way. And it was. Can't blame them. Laziness. I'm lazy as hell sometimes. Lately I am. I don't do this anymore a lot because I'm lazy. I'd rather sit on my fluffy chair that's broke now. It is. It's broke, and I've been too lazy to go buy a new one too. That's when you really know how lazy you are. When your big fat fluffy chair that you lay in being lazy in, and you're too lazy to go buy a new one. You can measure your laziness by that. And how many beer stains it's got on it. It's how bad it stinks. Like I said, my house smells like Dougie, testosterone, open beers, and it's just not a pleasant smell. Um, yeah, YouTube is great when the chat is full of kids and infiltrated friend bots. Yeah, it gets interesting then. That's why sometimes you just let those things go anymore because you can learn from their behaviors. That's where the true Mgtow is going to do that. He's going to sit back and he's going to enjoy on the Mgtow bench. I always talk about the metaphysical Mgtow bench. When you're on the Mgtow bench, you really don't care about anything anymore. So you sit back, a little popcorn, and you go, yeah, you guys are, oh, you guys are, wow, look at that one. And when the chats are full of the youngsters talking about doing fentanyl, it's like, oh, that's not a good idea. Jesus. But it is our responsibility to let them know about that. And that's what this video is for. Not that they'll listen because I'm an old guy and ageism rules or YouTube. Yeah, you get it. I hit the YouTube wall, and I was wondering what the YouTube wall was. When you're a dude, it's like when you become a gray neckbeard, you hit the YouTube wall. You're socially not accepted anymore, which is just funny. It's funny because I am pretty. Gosh, look at that. Look at that profile. Just get a down shot. Oh man, I never got to do the Tinder thing where I just put a down shot of myself and then paste in some other guy's square chest. I'd love to do that. If I was younger, I would do some, what do they call that, catfishing. I just do catfishing because they do it. It's like, but you're not allowed as a man. That's most of the rules for men. Whatever they do, you're not allowed to do. That's what is that gigolo that was running around Florida years ago, and he was just stealing everything. And it's like he was taking, they used to get the old ladies to fall in love with him, and he would like buy me a new ski bob, a ski doo, or a boat, like a boat out of you. And they put him in jail. And I said, but that's hypergamy. They do that all the time. I said, but it's different for men. It's different for men. Hypergamy carries the weight of the law. You see it now all the time too. I read the articles, and it's like Jesse Smollett's the newest one, and it was a horrible crime. It wasn't really a crime. I wouldn't consider it a crime. If I was a judge, I'd be laughing. I was like, you made a false accusation and you set it up and everything. But women do that all the time, and we minimalize it. And it's like, but Jesse Smollett's got 11 felonies now for doing the same thing most Me Tooers do every day. It's like making a false police report is a felony. But for girls, we say you're just making a false accusation. There's nothing wrong with that. See what I did there? Yeah, we minimalize it. There's a different set of rules for, even though Jesse Smollett is a gay black male that carries the weight of like special privileges in this country. And he does. He got special privileges and all that stuff going. And he's still a man. He's still a man. I think that's why Bruce Jenner came back to being Bruce Jenner. He's no longer going to be the girl version of himself, the animus, because he figured out like no matter what, you're still a dude, and they know it, and they're going to treat you that way. So they'll be pleasant for a little bit, but in the end of the day, you're still a dude, and the law is not. You're not going to be able to. You don't carry the same lack of punishment. Bruce Jenner. Then he go back. What was his name? I can't remember the name he was using. He was Bruce Jenner, and then he was somebody else. and that's body positive somebody else, the body positive somebody else, because you can be whatever you want. Somebody explained that to me the other day. I was watching a video, and I was always wondered about how they thought about that. And so I just decided to watch a video about your body, and they're saying, well, there's different kinds of gender, and you can wear like, and there was a girl and she was wearing like dude clothes, and she said, I want to be a dude today, and she dyed her hair blue. And she says, when I want to be a dude, I dye my hair blue and I wear the dude clothes, and then you have to call me Mister. And I was like, I'll call you Z. I will. I'll be considerate about that. And it's, but the next day I might have pink hair and wear girls' clothes, and that's when I want to be called a girl, and I could do that. And I was like, so cool. I understand perfectly now. Because I want to be called a dude most of the time. It's like, dude. I want to be called a dude all the time. And I said, that's not right. You can't be called a dude all the time. So what? So what? I know. But they explained it to me and it made perfect sense. More absurdity. We got one around the corner. She's a lovely girl. Guy Z, whatever she wants to be that day. She does the blue and the pink. When she wants to be a dude, she does the blue hair. And it's funny. And then she wears the cargo pants and the butch shirt. And then the next day you'll come in there and she'll look lovely. She'll have the pink hair and the girl clothes on and everything. It's like, wow, they're wearing those dresses, the English school teacher dress now. I think the anime girls are really popular when they have the tattoos, and it's the black dress with the white collar, and then they got the tattoos. I seen it the other day on a social justice show, and she was like doing the pink hair with it, and it's like, and talking about objectification, and I was like, well, you're objectifying yourself because you know that only reason you're dressed like that is because you want the gamer boys to come around and the gamer boys to like fawn over you, and then you'll call it objectification because that's the way you're dressed. You're not dressed normal. I thought that was logical, but she yelled at me. I said, you're baiting them. That's what we say in Mgtow. It's a trap. And it's like she was baiting them, and that was a trap. And that way she could yell at them and be right. That's all they really want to do is be right. And you got to give it to them once in a while. You're just right. I'm right. Yeah, it's okay. But don't push it. That's what I say. I'll let you be right this time, but don't push it. Oh, keep rocking out. How are you guys doing in the chat? Are you arguing? We don't have no women in the chat anymore. See how that worked out, guys? Was I right about that? Was I right? See how it worked out? As soon as I stopped moderating, all the women, they just went away because it wasn't an issue then. And they just went away, and I was right about that. If you make it an issue, they'll stay around because that's what they want. They want to make it an issue. Just ignore them, gently ignore them. That's the only thing you can really do. Keep rocking out with her. Stevie. Yeah, PJ. What'd PJP say? Everyone else dies alone, tech. Yeah. Every one of us are going to die alone. I find that a sad part of my life as I spend a lot of time in a hospice situation. My mother was dying, and some girl I knew, her mother was in the same place, and we used to go visit. We'd drive up there together, and we'd sit around for hours and hours reading hospice books. The library, hospice places are really nice. They have good coffee too, and you go in the room and you say hello when they're conscious, and go back out and just kind of watch them fade away into the abyss. But they got a great library there, so I spend a lot of time reading books about death and how to accept it. There were some real asinine books about death too, I got to tell you. But most of the books were pretty fairly cool, and they got a great library. You can sit around and drink coffee and converse with other people that's parents are dying, and develop relationships and stuff. it's it's a weird situation, I know, but yeah, I spent a lot of times in those places, and never mind. I know all the answers to that. I know you do, Steve. Oh man. So we'll get back. Well, I was trying to figure out how to do the thing where I loop it back into the original conversation, but I took it way too far this time. And I can't loop it back. I can't do there's no way. I just realized that there's no way I can bring this back. So the original conversation, unless I reassert the original conversation, was about risk. And I did that about 5 times already. But that's just being tenacious about reasserting your tautology is. You have to risk. Let's talk about risk. I know I lack enthusiasm sometimes about those things, and everybody wants to see the enthusiastic salesman. He's just cooler, much cooler than I could ever be. And I'd be big on YouTube if I'd shave and do the haircut and have a cool hat, a suit jacket, a tie. Do the enthusiastic salesman and be a life coach. Yeah. I wanted to be the life coach to the PUAs, like the life coach to the life coaches. That's what I consider myself, the life coach to the life coaches. That's my calling in life. Because that's just funny. And you got to find humor where you can in life. We've had some doozies coming around lately, haven't we? Some real winners. It seems like we got saturated last week and the week before with like, whoo, young guys are they haven't experienced the horror of divorce or anything, and he's going to tell you like I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Oh yeah. I got one of these guys. I see it up there. It's like all I can think of is shut up. And that's what I wrote. I just wrote shut up. Shut up. I like that now. It's like, God, that's so irritating. New life coach come around, tell us we were wrong. Mgtow's, you're wrong. And I'll sit back most of the time on the Mgtow bench and go, please explain. Please explain. I let him just jackass out. But that's the fun of Mgtow sometimes. You just got to find the entertainment where you can. My light went dead. I forgot to change the battery. Talk about it. Who are we? Who's arguing? The guys stop arguing. Oh, I see what it is. Okay. I can do that. Show that one. Show that one. YouTube's going to be pissed at me when they see those words that you're using. But what time is it? It's 11 o'clock. How long have I gone here? I don't know. I can't see that. I have a big book above so I can put the camera a little higher. I wanted to buy a camera mount, but I didn't because I'm lazy. I got one here somewhere, but I can't find it. I was going to put the camera on top of that so it would come across evenly, and I didn't. Sorry. Eli would say my product. You like your product, Joe. You got to consider your product. It's got to get better. little things, and like Howard had a little plant, like plant dancing, like feed me money. That was funny, wasn't it? The irony. The irony of it was funny. I thought, geez, he would go on half of his podcasts were like, I'm not a shill. And he'd have a dancing plant down there. Like, plant's gonna die if you don't give me a donation. It's like one of those cat. Remember those cat things? The digital pet you used to buy. If you don't, you had to. It's like a digital baby. You get up, you feed it, and you do that. And then if it died, it was your fault. That was great for kids. Oh, that would be great for millennials, too over emotional millennials with digital pets, and they die, and he'd be like, "My pet died." He'd kill himself. That's probably why they don't do them anymore, because it's so emotionally taxing. Get away from people telling you how to live. Yeah, you got to get away from people telling you how to live. Nobody has a right to tell you how to do your own thing. And if they don't like it, change the channel. That's what we used to say. Don't like it, change the channel. You don't like Trav, change the channel. Find your own path. Yeah. Yeah, we preach that. That's being Mgtow. Find your own path, your own individuality, develop a personality. Develop a personality. Make something out of yourself, boy. But that sounds a lot like a lot of these times when they do that, like, make something out of yourself, boy. I'm thinking that's shaming language. That's shaming language. They're doing a subtle form of shaming language then. It's like, because that's what the man up guys are telling you all the time. And I hate man up guys. Those man up guys, they used to be so bad. You guys don't remember them probably. A lot of you guys don't. But the man up guys, it's like that's what they used to do when you get a divorce. They'd send you down to the class, and you had to take the classes, and the man up guy would be there and just be like, I know this sucks. Just pull yourself up by the bootstrap. Go get 2 jobs and be a man. And you're just thinking, man, I would so like to slay you. But there's subtle forms of that all around, everywhere. Everywhere you look, subtle forms of man-upping. Like, just be the best you can be. For me. And that's usually the end statement. It's like, for somebody else, not for yourself. Mgtow. You're never allowed to be the best you can be for you. It's got to be for somebody else, or else it's not worth it. And that's just funny, because then you get called names. They'll do the other subtle form of shaming, like, you're so selfish. You're so selfish. You're a bachelor. Bachelor's a bad word. You're not involving yourself in societal things. Selfish guys. The other subtle form of shaming. So that's quite a catch-22 there. That's quite a catch-22 they got going on. Just be whatever you want to be. I don't care. If you want to dress like a girl, I don't care anymore. That used to bother me, but I don't even care anymore. I'll just smile. It's like, dog. Really? A dog. Got that other gender role going. Anytime you want to come back, you can. You just start wearing men's clothes. Yeah. Gender non-binary people. That's what it was. It was a gender non-binary video I had watched. They explained it perfectly. I don't get it still. I'll say I get it, but I really don't. I don't get it. I'm mono-binary. Is that a thing? Mono-binary? Johnny Five, is that a thing? Can you be mono? Is it okay to be mono-binary? I'm just like a dude. That's it. Look, I got tear on my back. Sometimes squirrels nest in it. It's so thick. Oh, mono-binary. That's funny. I guess that's cis males. Cis males are like Sisyphus. You're just a working machine. You're utility for the. You're the utility. They'll just start giving us tattoos pretty soon. What do you want to be? I want to be binary. It's like, oh, you get to work hard. It's gonna be so cool. You get to toss boxes and shit. Pick a trade. um, we need slaves. That's what they're saying. The truth about that is, if you ever really delve deep into slavery, any social situations like communal situations, there's going to have to be, and all the experts agree about it. Like it's okay. You have to have 20 to 30% slaves in the society, and that makes it okay. uh, you're welcome. But that's what, yeah, that's what it gets slave. That because it's okay then. It's like 20, only 20, 30%. And if you ask any professor, he'll tell you that if he's honest. And any social communal situation, you have to have 20 to 30% people that actually do the work. And the rest of the people get to enjoy not doing the work. And that's you, generally the male. And that's why we developed a system of marriage. So you know your place. I don't even know. I want to know what you were doing, Dougie. I don't even want to know. He pisses me off sometimes. He did. I know he's up there doing something wrong. He was trying to sneak by me. It's like a kid. He's like a kid. Anytime they're trying to sneak by you, it's like, oh no, what'd you do? um, Old people need social interaction or their minds will further deteriorate. Mental illness, Alzheimer's, depression. Yeah. You should start taking like certain things at 50, at least 50, 45, 46 years old, to ward off Alzheimer's. That was the Human Genome Project. We spent billions of dollars in America in the Human Genome Project, and we figured out how to cure Alzheimer's. We did, but no one listens. It's blueberries, a cup of wine, coffee, some certain nuts. It's the They did an experiment on rats, and they scrambled their brains, and then they took dissections and dichotomies of the scrambled brains, and then they gave the other rats blueberries, and they noticed that there was neural regenerative things that were happening, and then they denied it, and they said, no, we can't believe in that because that's Darwinism. And the Christians had a fit, so they ended the Human Genome Project. They did, and so because that would be real close to like the Scopes trials, and we already argued that one out in 1903, didn't we? But no, not allowed to introduce that into anything in Texas. um, but blueberry tannises, it's coloring that does it. It opens new neural pathways and regenerates. And see what happens is neural pathways calcify, and they get tangled, and it's a tangled dendrites, and it that cause Alzheimer's. And then your hippocampus gets a watery barrier around it because your brain's having a hard time. Not enough exercise. You got to give your brain little barbells exercise. That's why it's good to read, and you do that, read and do crossword puzzles. That's why they tell old people to do that. Read and do crossword puzzles, and you give your little brain, your hippocampus, barbells. It's like little workout guys inside your head. That's cool. That's a cool thought. I read all the time, so I'm not worried about it. And I eat a quarter cup of blueberries every morning. And then I take my MK2K, and then I take my K2 and SMK something else now. I can't remember the actual terms for it because I'm lazy. That's my new diet, and then acetic acid. And I told you guys why you should take acetic acid, vitamin C, but I don't want to do that video again. There are no cool thoughts. No, I think thought pretty much. I think thought pretty much precludes them from any kind of coolness. Just the general overtones of the what it really means. That H over there. I think that precludes them from being cool. Yeah, there's a presupposition already in that little. They laid that one out. There's a presupposition in it, so they can't be cool. But they can be used. That's funny, but they can be used for one other thing. The resource of the bee. The young guys are so crazy, and then us old guys were like, "Oh man, that's kind of risky." You know she's a horrible person, and you want to still do that. You know she's. You just said it. You just said it in the thought. She's a thought. And what you're really saying is, you know, she's a horrible person, and you want to go get risky with that. I'll sit back on my Mgtow bench, get some popcorn, and watch from afar because that's going to get good. That really will get good, and just laugh because that's the only thing I really got in my life anymore because I had children and had to go through that whole process and. Yeah, I have experienced that thing. So who's all in here today? Johnny Five. Hello, Johnny Five. Hello, Mgtow Thread, Father No. Steve, always good to see Steve. Always carries with him the aura of the Hoka. Hey, I was watching football. Any of you guys into football? Magnus, yeah, you're into football a little bit. Schwein Dog, he's not around. He's into football. Cleveland Browns got Odell Beckham. That was the big news today. Odell Beckham's coming to Cleveland. So we can put a big poster up on the Terminal Tower building there now to replace LeBron James because he's a bum now. He used to have that big picture up there. I don't know if you ever seen it. Got a new league too. Yeah. We got a new lineman. We're going to get 50 sacks this year. We got a great defensive line now. We got two new linemen, as a matter of fact, an interior lineman and a rusher, Sheldon from Shelderson. I can't remember his name from the Jets. We packaged a big deal up with not the Jets, the Giants, and they got our 17th. And I told everybody, I says Dorsey's going to trade that pick, that first round pick, and everybody's going to be pissed. And that's exactly what he did because that's what he always does. People are so predictable. And he did. He traded it. But now we got a real team. Baker Mayfield. The freaking Baker Mayfield is great. There's news today in Denver. The cops in Shaker Heights. Yeah, Shaker Heights got called out for. Yeah, they were. Yeah, somebody got called for because they got Odell Beckham, and he was so happy he ran out and started yelling, "Thank the gods!" in front of his house, and the police showed up. That was a funny story. I think he did it without a shirt on or something, and that happens all the time in Cleveland. Not as much as used to. I love the spring. I love the spring because in Cleveland, it's just weird shit starts happening. I used to sit on my porch and just have a beer and watch because sooner or later during a Friday night in spring, somebody's going to run down the street naked, screaming, and the cops are going to be chasing them. We just laugh. It's like it's going to happen, man. It's too many people in one area. Or so there's going to be a fist fight. It was great. It was. I thought so. How the F did that make news in Denver. I don't know. The news, they picked up on it right away because it was a big story, and the APA picked it up, I think, and the AP picked it up and sent it off, and everybody started talking about it. That was great. But Cleveland's going to be good. I'm going to watch football all the way through this year now. I might even go down to a game. I probably won't, and I hate walking up those steps. There, I always get the tickets up the very top, and I got to walk. And then when I want a hot dog, I got to walk all the way down. So I hate that. You got to walk to it too. You got to walk a mile to get to it. And I'm lazy. I might go to some preseason practices. That'll be easier. Yeah. A lot of excitement. A lot of excitement. They're going to be hard to get tickets to, too. Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, we got Sheldon. The Baker Mayfield. He's so exciting. He's got a Baker beard. It looks like a nest. People can live in there. It's like he's got a great beard, Baker beard. He does. I'm jealous. He got college basketball. Yeah, college basketball's coming up soon. Magnus tournament, March Madness. That's always fun. I was looking at all the players the other day too. Tennessee dropped a little bit, and Duke's still, and then like Duke's 5 now, but Zion's coming back after his tennis shoe explosion, which was just funny. You knew they were just holding him off so he can do some weightlifting and get healthy before the tournament, lose a few pounds, and but they used the tennis shoe thing, Reebok. You bastards. That's what they said. He'll get an Adidas contract. He will. But draft is coming up. Draft is so deep this year. There's so many good basketball players coming out, and Cleveland's going to get like one of them, 2 of them actually, and they'll be pretty good next year. Cleveland tanked it this year. Yeah. If you look at their games, you look at Cleveland's games, they're not as bad as everybody thinks they are because they tanked it. They tanked it all the way through. Anytime they wanted to win a game, they just did. And you could tell the difference. It's like they just won it. It's like Chicago's like that too. They were having this little competition. Like Chicago won 5 games and then Cleveland automatically won 5 games. It was like, oh, you guys are tanking it so bad. You guys, yeah, we are. We want the best player. That's the only way to get the best player nowadays is tank it and cheat. But you got to. But 1 through 30, you're going to get a good player. You can even get Boy. He's like 7'8" or something. He could just. He's 9. He's got a 9'6". He's 4 inches this far away from being able to just put the ball in, standing there. I want that guy. He's the father of Manute Bull. His father was tall too. There's a gene in that family that people should examine. Is Boy Bull. That's Boyce, whatever the hell they pronounce it. But he's coming out, and there's a lot of good players. I like that kid out of Arkansas. He's the human highlight machine. Everybody's overlooking him. He's probably going to go 28th. I'm like, shit, missed that one. Arkansas, because he comes from a small school. Everybody's overlooking him. The Cleveland players must have been. Yeah, sports is interesting. I never did my video I told you about why men should involve themselves in sports. I was lazy. Yippee, tribalism. Yeah. Go team. Yeah. They invented soccer because the boys were getting so effeminate in England. And so they invented soccer. So the boys had some outlet, and sports, anything you're learning. If they take sports in, more seriously as an instrument of teaching, it would be great instead of a competitive action. Yeah. No, but well, that's what we find out. Men tournament, men compete, and then it gets ugly. And that's we do that in Mgtow. We do it everywhere, and then the ugliness of the competition, like two rams just beating each other's heads in. You ever look at a ram after the ram got in a fight with another ram? It's horrible. That's what we look like, the women, and they like it. Yeah, I like sports. I do. I like to win, but most of the time, you like my team lost again. It's a shitty feeling. Your team loses. And in Cleveland, you get used to that. If you're a Cleveland sports fan, but we got the Browns now. They're going to win. They got Odell Beckham. He's got blonde hair. AB, yeah, Antonio Brown dyed his mustache blonde too. That was funny. I thought that was just funny. And then as soon as he went on the telecaster, he did AB did an AV telecast because he didn't have time enough to show up for his actual press conference because he's Mr. Big Chest and Mr. Big Chest. Who do you think you are? And that's what that kind of joke. It's a sports joke. So he dyed his mustache back black. I was just laughing. It's like, men, God, we're idiots sometimes. But Odell Beckham's got the blonde curly hair thing going. I think in Cleveland that I'm going to have to buy him a bottle of orange spray, and they can do orange curly hair because that's our colors, and that would be just cool. Orange with a white line down the middle because that's our helmets. We got no logo. Cleveland doesn't have a logo. Crumb would like that. Crumb, the draw author of the horrible the horrible comics in his 60s. Crumb. And who was that guy? Martin Picard from Cleveland did the narration for him. He was a librarian that was dying of cancer. What were those books called? I can't remember what those books called. They gave way to Mad Magazine and all that crazy stuff. Crumb was cool. He didn't like logoism. He liked the Browns helmet. So I was just gabbing on. I've been going about 3 hours now. And his friend Abe. And I think I'm about ready to wrap this thing. I might just felt like talking, coming around, and say hello. I like to say hello to you guys once in a while because I think it's my duty. It is. Just come around and say hello. Watch Mgtow from afar. Just say hello to people. That's all I do. Hey. Anymore. Just wander around Mgtow chats and just say hello to people. Try to be really nice. So I think I'm going to close this thing down because I want a cup of tea and I want to go watch whatever latest version of FBI show came out. I'm sure some girl got raped, and I just can't miss that. And, oh, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. No, I'm not going to really go watch that. I'm going to try to find some sci-fi movies. You know what I do lately is I just look for the lowest rating show, and if it's got like a 2, it's going to be great. It's going to be so silly I won't be able to stand it. I'll just be laughing. And I always find humor and absurdity, and that's where I find my joy in life now. So it's easy to do with movies now because you just look for the lowest rated movie you can possibly find, and then you see total absurdity on stage. And that's what Camus was writing about. That's absurdity. When you start looking at it, you look at it through the eyes of an author. And absurdity came around in 1920 something. And Counterpart is good. Counterpart. Oh yeah, I was going to watch Counterpart. And that was the English one. Yeah, it was the English one, Counterpart. It was. I was gonna watch that. I did start to watch it. I think I watched the first three, and then some guy kissed another guy or something happened, and I was like, oh, that's that's when I stopped watching. I was watching the vampire, not the vampire one, the new one. The space alien guy comes down, and his brother kissed another guy, and I was like, no, I can't watch it no more. And every show I look at and watch now, it's just they got to introduce that, like at least one show. And it's like, no, I'm not into that. I'm straight. I'm non-binary. I'm just binary. I'm just straight, and that's not good in the world today. If you're binary, that's what they say. Gay. Yeah, there's a lot of gay, and but they can do that if they want. I don't. I just won't watch it. I'll take my own advice and turn it off. That's the only thing you can do is take your own advice and say, don't let them offend you. It's like to where you're gonna throw like a brick at the TV or something. I can't afford a new TV right now. My worst fear is that my 50-inch TV is gonna bust and I'm gonna have to buy a new one. They're really expensive too. Because I'm minimalizing, I'll have to get a 32-inch and sit closer to it. 'Cause- and that's funny if you think about it. I'll just get a 32-inch and sit closer. Then it'll be 50. I think my next TV is going to be a projector. One of those projector TVs. That would be really cool. I'm saving up for a projector TV, so I'm going to buy it. My buddy brought one over, and it was really cool. It had 80 inches of perfectly crystal clear, like television on my wall. Yeah. Did they get a 50 at Walmart? I might put that on layaway if they got a 50-inch because mine's getting old. It is. It's lasted way past it's just lasted. And I'm shocked. I'm like, these things are supposed to break, but the one I got was like never gonna break, and it's just never gonna break. I must have bought that like 8 years ago, and it's just not gonna break. And I was like, is it a Magnavox? What are you fucking stupid? I had a Magnavox when I was really young. When Magnavox was like, you could just throw them and then turn them back on and they wouldn't break. I was like, that's really bad for business. You got to make them so they break. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to turn on the TV. I've been sleeping on the couch lately since my fat ass chair is broken. And I just stare at it. I stare at my chair all night and I weep. It's like, my chair is broken. That's funny. So I have to sleep on the leather couch. I finally got to use the leather couch, and it's okay. It's not like what I thought it was going to be, but I get to use it now because I got nowhere else to sit because Fat Boy Lazy Boy chair broke. It almost scared me. It did. It almost scared me. Oh man, I gotta buy a new chair. My son came over and he's like, Dad, we'll just throw out all the furniture and we'll just get two chairs, two Fat Boy chairs. And I was like, oh, now you're thinking. And he was like, that's what we're going to do. So that's what we're going to do eventually. We're going to throw away the leather porn couch and put two Fat Boy chairs in front of the TV. Hopefully they got like ice boxes in them with beer holders. And that'll just be cool. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to wrap this thing up. And I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk. And I know I didn't do a lot of philosophy today. And I'm sorry. I just didn't feel like philosophical today. I just wanted to talk about our job in Mgtow. What is our job? I'll recap. Just try to share the Mgtow and be a better person and watch out for your buddy so he doesn't get in any risky situations and then you have to watch him die. You know, misdemeanors can lead to felonies, and that's risky behavior, and drug use is bad. Try not to use too much drugs. And pot smokers out there, cut back on that a little bit at night. Uh, it's not good for you. And that's the best information I can give you about life. Uh, Avoid risk and try to share that with your buddy if he's going through some hard times and doing risky behavior. Let him know that you care. Let him know that you care. And that's it. And that's all I got today. I got a lot more, really. I can go on for days, but I just don't want to because I'm fucking lazy. I'm lazy and I'm fat and I'm just I'm just Joe anymore. I'm not going to pretend I'm the Uber Munch and I'm going to cure the world. But that's it, guys, and I hope you found something interesting about my 2 or 3 hour rant. But like always, Mgtow's all about you guys, every single one of you guys. That's what I'm talking to. And I hope that you just go out and share with your friend, and if he's in need, let him know. If he's being risky, let him know. And don't be a bad friend, be a good friend. Uh, that would turn me on if one or two of you just took the initiative to hedge off a bad situation in your life, in the buddy's life, and saved them from that thing that comes around, that horror that visits us all some days. Uh, that's what this is about. The things we should be talking about in Mgtow sometimes. Risk. Risk sucks. Risk is bad. Risk is bad. Don't do it. And it's up to each and every one of us to share that with the young guys and try to save their immortal souls so they have something worth living for at 45, because they have the chance. We didn't. I didn't. I'm hoping that they'll be richer than I'll ever be by the time they're 30. And that's what we give them, a chance. So, like always, I'm out. And the biggest thing is thanks for being a Mgtow. Mgtow brothers. You all have a great day.